Hey guys, I'm back. And yeah, before you say anything, what have I been doing for the whole month? Yes, I will admit, I have fallen into another bender. And it's not an alcohol-related bender, it's not a drug addiction, no, it's just gaming. But there's something about that which I think we overly underestimate when we say it's just gaming. Because I am aware that right now the gaming as itself, is now classified as a behavioral addiction in the DSM-5. Not to say that the DSM-5 is that accurate, because I did give up on the DSM-4 when I realized that a large portion of the whole DSM is in regards to American behaviors. And you might want to argue, no, these are psychological behaviors, they should be universal. But they're not. Because I'm from the Philippines, and I can tell you that when I tried to apply the concepts which I were aware of in the DSM-4, they did not accurately translate to the local populace, which is why probably psychology and guidance counseling and stuff like that is not a big deal here, as it is so much in the US and probably other Western countries, but I'm not very sure. Don't quote me on that. I can simply state that in the Philippines and in Japan, there are local psychological behaviors and predictors which vastly differ from what you are aware of in the DSM manual. So let's not use that. But anyway, let's talk about my gaming addiction. And, well, I've had it for a long time. But let's talk about how I am continuously able to break out of it, even though it keeps pulling me back in. So, that's today's topic. Today's video is brought to you by no one. I mean, come on. I don't even have subs to the channel. So guys, if you want to help out this channel, hit the sub button, because this could really help me actually maybe get subs, eventually get sponsored maybe. I don't know if I want to sponsor. Not really the point of these videos, but hit the sub button. And, if you're liking this video or other videos that I've already made. So this could really help me out. And it'll also tell YouTube, stop sending you useless cat videos. I mean, I do like cat videos, but if you're not finding that much fulfillment in these cat videos, then, if you want more educational stuff, hit the sub button, so that'll help you out, okay? So let's talk about how I fell into this trap again this time. This time specifically, because, I'm always trying to stop gaming, but I'm always going back to it anyway. So this time it started out super simple, I was really tired from studying Japanese and Korean, and so I took a break, browsed the internet a bit, found this new game, Genshin Impact, and I started playing it on my phone. And then I realized the phone controls kind of suck, so I downloaded it and played it on my PC, which is much superior if, that's wrong English, which is a superior experience if you're, aiming in FPS, because, it's really hard to shoot when you're, using your thumbs, even if it is a gaming phone and you have those triggers. Does not work out. So I started with that, and then Doom was released the following week, or 2 weeks after, not really sure. And, I love Doom. So I just kept shooting things. And then I got, into a Nutaku game. It's called King of Wasteland. I do not recommend it for you guys. I mean, it is a nice strategy game, but it's such a toxic community right now, especially if you're in server 14. So, I will admit, for about a month, I was really, really into this game. I mean, it's a Nutaku game, so obviously you go into it for the eroge, but I got into it for the strategy after a while. And it was pretty fun, but then as with most pay-to-play or pay-to-win games, mobile games more or less, you have to continuously log in because there is a timer. I'm sure not all mobile games are like this, but there is an energy timer for most of these other games, and you have to log in if you want to keep up with your streaks. So what happened was I kept I would set my day around these login times. It actually happened similar about 2 months ago, but it wasn't so distracting when the One Punch Man game came out. And, I would also log in and continuously play on that, and it would set my day. Which kind of ruins the whole point of me trying to study and move away from these gaming habits. Because you want to develop productive study habits instead of gaming habits. And what was happening was I kept logging into the game, and so my brain, its infinite stupidity, was now getting all of its endorphins and dopamine release from video games, no longer from the study habits which I have previously established. So I want to talk to you about how I break out of these cycles, even though I have not found an easy way to completely cut myself off from these gaming addictions, which keeps pushing me back into the cycle over and over. But, I do want to talk about how I break out of these cycles. Now, a lot of YouTubers and a lot of health gurus, mental space, whatever you want to call it, will often tell you that the best way to avoid these dopamine addictions and to avoid video games and social media addictions is to reduce it. That's why now in 2020, we have phones that are very minimalist. They don't have internet access, they don't have ads, they don't have social media. And it's to minimize the strain on people that, just want to be able to be productive without being distracted with social media and with other games and stuff. Especially now. Like, we know that the PlayStation 5 is releasing, the new Xbox Series is releasing, and we even have the 3000 series of the RTX chips are releasing. So, with lockdowns all over the world, especially here in the Philippines, which we're still on lockdown. It's been over 6 months, but we're still on lockdown over here. And it's been difficult, there's not much to do other than to sit at home playing video games. Or, get sick, go to the hospital. And since we're a third world nation, a lot of you, if you don't have strong immune systems, will probably end up dead. But that's not the point. The point is, gaming is now a big thing, and I think most companies know this, and most industries are pushing for this because of the coronavirus. I mean, they're already pushing it prior to that. Let's not blame the virus completely for this, but people are taking advantage of this. So there's a lot of games, there's a lot of new media, there's a lot of new shows on Netflix, and because of that, there's so many distractions now that it's very hard to stay productive if you don't have a full-time job. Someone like me, or a lot of you hikikomori out there which are similar to me. And so, a lot of us, we want to be productive. And for me personally, being productive is studying Japanese, learning Korean, and slowly moving up the chains so I can communicate better. And whatever job things you guys might have there, whatever it is. But we're getting a little off topic. Let's bring it back to how I keep breaking out of these cycles. And, okay, I just previously mentioned that most people tell you to stop letting yourself get dopamine hits from these various media sources and video games. Because again, I brought this up in another video, if you guys want to check out my take on it, which is your brain only recognizes yes, no, pleasure, and pain. Not really pain. More like no pleasure. So, even though you want to be very, very productive, the brain will choose the easiest path to getting endorphins and dopamine release. So, despite you telling it that you want, let's say you want to be very fluent and proficient in Japanese, you want to be fluent and proficient in Korean, you want to have a job in one of these countries where English is not their main language, so you have to do it anyway. This might be your overall goal, but you're not deriving any pleasure from this. So what's going to happen is you're going to end up playing video games, or, spanking the monkey. Let's not talk about spanking the monkey. It's not the whole point of my channel. No monkey spanking. But anyway, because gaming is the easiest way for your brain to get dopamine hits and dopamine release, you're naturally going to fall towards gaming. You're going to want the game, you're going to want to play, even if you know that it is not pushing you in the direction that is, good for you. Or it's not really pushing you towards the goal set that you have set for yourself. That just doesn't work that way. And it's very hard to break out of these things if you're completely addicted. So, while most people may say that you should just avoid it altogether to lower your dopamine threshold, it's like an alcohol threshold, First hit, great. And so you keep drinking and drinking and drinking, you have built a higher and higher tolerance, until eventually it becomes very, very hard to break out of this habit. This is true. However, there is an alternative route, which I have used, and I'm sure most people may have used it unintentionally sometimes, but this time let's talk about doing it intentionally. And this is by tricking your brain into getting the same hits from while non-gaming activities to send you the same amount of dopamine hits. And how do I do this? Let me tell you how. So to start it off, simple enough. For me, as a guy who really likes video games, I slowly switched over to playing Japanese educational games. These basic hiragana, katakana, what was the other one? Kanji, yeah. There's a whole video game set for that, which you can find on Steam. It's called Learn Japanese to Survive, I think, or something. And other various apps and games that you can play. Because I'm so used to getting my dopamine hits and my endorphin high from video games, I thought that, okay, let's take the media that I'm already familiar with, the process that gives me these hits, and let's move it slowly towards education. So what happens is you make the connection. Well, you don't make it, your brain kind of does, because again, it all happens unconsciously. You make the connection wherein you're gaming, but then you're learning something. And it takes a while for this to happen. Because again, you're getting all of your great things from learning, from gaming. All of the endorphins come from gaming. And it gets very low. You lose that high, you lose these pleasurable feelings when you're studying. This is very common. So the first thing I did to trick my brain was to have a game experience that was teaching me something. Of course, this is not enough because you can't learn everything just through, these video games. No matter how good they are or how many apps you use, that's not enough. You need constant exposure. So I would also, media. I just mentioned a while ago, Netflix has a lot of new shows. There's a lot of great things you can watch out there. You want to redirect your energy from watching just entertaining things to watching things that are entertaining and are in your target language, if it is in fact your goal, like me. So I removed most of the English content language things that I watch. Don't watch English shows anymore. I only watch Japanese shows. And then as a higher level, every now and then, if I am familiar with the content, like Steins Gate. I played Steins Gate in English. I watched the entire anime with no subtitles. So I'm forced to simply take the knowledge I learned from that video game, and I know how the story works, and I'm just watching the anime, not fully understanding what's happening, but you're getting input from that language, and you know what's happening, so you kind of make that slight connection of how the language works and what they're more or less conveying in the show. That's just an example. But there, again, is the second way you do it. Your media now has to also be focused on simply absorbing the language. It has to be useful for you. It cannot just be entertaining. It has to be entertaining, and you have to learn something. And, you will need to read books, and you're going to have to study. I mean, sad to say, you're going to have to go through textbooks. But there is another hack I found for this. I'm not going to sure if it's called a hack, but it's another way I found a way across this. I read light novels, which are heavily Japan-focused. So what happens is when I'm reading these light novels, although they are in English, they do bring up certain terms which you will not get if you read, just plain Western books or English books. Like terms like hikikomori, chanibyo, all this stuff. Yeah, you can see it in anime and stuff, but they come out a lot in light novels. And if you have a Kindle, again, you can bring this up, or if you're using a Kindle app, you can look up the meanings of these, and eventually, if you read enough of this, you start to get a rough understanding of what these words mean. Even though they're translated loosely in English, they are from a Japanese base. So again, you are still focused on your goal while entertaining yourself with something else. So again, everything you do is always focused on the target language and absorption of the language. So that's how you slowly trick your brain into enjoying language learning versus just entertaining yourself. That would be one of the things that I would suggest. Next, and this is a little weird, but have you ever gotten super drunk, and in the height of your drunkenness, you're at a point where you're super, super happy, and you just don't care, and you're like, ugh, this is great. But then you wake up the next day, and you're hungover, and you hate yourself, and you're like, I'm never going to do that again. But then you do it again anyway. So, I've thought about this method a lot. It's not really a method. I've thought about this process a lot. And I've decided to do the same thing for my gaming. What I do, and this, I'm sure a lot of you guys don't want to do this, but trust me, it works, because this is how I continuously break out of things. you play your game. I mean, if you're already on the path falling down, where you've lost your motivation to study, you've gotten stuck on a show, you've gotten stuck on a video game, and you're just really just playing it and you can't stop, get to the point, and I'm sure you know when this will happen to you. It could be 2 hours, could be 8 hours, could be 24 hours, I don't know, where you're playing really hard, you know, and you're really into the zone, and you're loving the game. But then it's starting to bother you. You're starting to get tired, you know, and it's just like, oh, I'm no longer capable of getting any more dopamine because my brain is filled up. I'm completely and totally tired of video games. In that moment, delete your save. Uninstall the game. You might be saying, what? That's crazy. Why would I do that after all the progress I put? That's the whole point. What you want to do is when you're at the peak of your satisfaction with the game, you know you're going to be playing that next day again, but you're just too tired right now. So this is like your hungover stage. So that you don't end up playing the game again, so you don't end up continuing this streak where you just keep falling down and you're just not being productive. During the peak of your satisfaction with these games, delete your save file, delete the game, so there's no way for you to recover it. And it's going to suck. It's really going to suck. You're going to wake up the next day and you're going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe I deleted my game, I can't recover it. Oh, I just wasted so many hours. But here's the thing. You've wasted more time playing these damn games, which are not going to get you anywhere, as compared to, you know, doing progressive and productive activities. So, in the span of your life, you've wasted so much time on video games. So if you, I mean, you're aware of this, but at the same time, you can't stop gaming. So that's how you slowly cut yourself off from gaming. By basically telling yourself, well, reinforcing the belief that these games are not doing anything for me. So, when you're happy and you're satisfied, remove the game. Make sure you can't play it again. And so you'll feel bad that, oh, I can't believe I just wasted all that time in that game. And when you continuously do this, eventually what happens is you make the association that video games are not leading to your overall satisfaction of life. And then you can redirect all your energy into more productive activities. So that's what I do all the time. And that's how I'm able to break out of this. Now I admit, it's not a perfect method. I'm still not 100% able to cut myself off from video games. I have been playing video games for over 2 decades now, and it's a very hard habit to break. But I have been doing this method, and I have been doing these things that I just told you for about a year or 2 right now, and I'm slowly leaning away from video games. And I'm slowly learning more Japanese, I'm slowly becoming more productive in learning the Korean language, and it's because of this, because of these things that I do. So I'm able to slowly cut myself off from that. And I think you guys might be able to also learn something by doing the same thing. So that's it, guys. I hope that I was able to help you. I hope that that's able to give you a little bit of insight how to cut yourself off a little bit from video games, how to end up being more productive in studies and languages or whatever else you want to do. Specifically for me, this is about languages, but you can also do the same thing if your goals are like working out, because same process, same way, same chemicals are released when you do this. And I hope to help you out, alright? So, if you like this video, hit the like button. And I guess I'll be able to post again new videos weekly. Maybe. Hopefully I don't find something else that distracts me altogether all over again. So, see you guys soon.